The show before the show.
That's what it is. The show before the show is starting a little bit later. We welcome everybody in. Hi, Trisha, Jessica. For the past 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's been the show before the show with dead air for 4 minutes.
No. We're just getting going on a Monday morning, making sure we have our I's dotted, our T's crossed. Good afternoon, Angie, Kim. Remember to like, subscribe, share the show. Let's get it out there as fast as we can. Mondays are always packed. Lots of video, lots of sound, lots of things to get into. Of course, welcome everybody's weekend. Hope they had a terrific weekend. As I get the rest of this stuff in here right now. Rumble, YouTube. All right. Let's see what we got here.
Aaron says, good morning, you sick, twisted freaks.
Sounds like what he said. Aaron, good morning. Annette, Glenn. Hey, good morning to all you good people. Kimberly. Of course, there. Mary, Donna. All good in our hood. Good morning, you sick, twisted freaks.
How accurate is that?
Pro Joe, you doing all right today, buddy?
A little tired, but I'm good.
All right.
How was
all
your
good.
Weekend?
All good in our hood.
How was your weekend, Vic?
I was talking to somebody over the weekend. She asked me where I was from, and I told her, I was like, where are you from? She's like, I'm from Hazelhood.
Hazelhood. I love it.
Hazel. She's like, I'm from the Hazelhood.
Hazelhood. That's funny. I'm from the Delhood then.
Delwood?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, Delwood.
Mm-hmm.
In the St. Louis area, of course, we do national headlines. We'll talk about that. Based out of the St. Louis area, we do national headlines every now and then. We talk local. It is interesting. I talked to not one Lizzie, but two people over the weekend, and it's been, I have lots of sleepless nights. When we structure the show and we do this podcast show, two out of St. Louis area people are like, I don't want to hear anything about St. Louis.
Yeah, they're getting kind of sick of this.
And then they're like, we love your national topics. And of course, St. Louis people are like, yeah, we want to hear the St. Louis topics and the national.
Yes.
And we're kind of a 50-50 split with views and listens all across the country right now. So as we expand and grow, I don't know. We'll see how we deal with that.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
I mean, yeah, it's just damn. But I've said that even before I knew you, Lizzie. When I was trying to figure this whole thing out, I was like, what is the balance? How do we do this?
Yeah. It's tricky how to do that.
Good morning, Paula. Saying good morning to you again. Jessica said, are we going to address that the DNC have said that they are not going to have Biden debate in the next election? Yes. Well, I think we did. We talked about Biden not doing.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let RFK debate. Then they said they were going to keep Biden out.
Right.
Oh, wonderful. Aaron says J.B. Pritzker also signed a bill to make it okay to hire illegals as cops.
Yeah, isn't that great? Yes. So do you realize that illegals then can really handcuff and jail Americans? That's bizarre.
Legals.
Yeah, legals. Illegals can then jail
Mother
legals.
trucker.
That's
that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Damn.
I don't get somebody's rationale other than political why that would be okay. I really don't get it.
There's no way for it to be okay.
It isn't.
Clearly.
The explanation is that these are cops that are hired for areas that are heavy and that have heavy illegals in it so they can police their own areas now.
That's insane.
Screw that bullshit.
Yeah.
That is.
That's insane. ridiculous.
Helen says local, national, world news. I mean, we do politics, we do news headlines, we do business, we do entertainment. We have our Free for All Fridays, cancel culture education, those stories. What else do you expect from a corrupt state of Illinois? God,
isn't that the truth?
State? It really is. I don't know. I also heard today too, it blew my mind before we start the other show. Rent is starting to come down for people who have to rent. I know we have Steve and Kathy in from Experience Realty on Wednesdays. By the way, if you have any questions, 314-276-SOLD, 314-276-SOLD. Any realty questions, let them know. Cancel this. Told you to go there. They'll take care of you. They're always like, don't rent, don't rent, don't rent. You got to find a place to buy. Yeah. Some people get forced into renting. You're into renting. I know it very well. I've been there. Renting figures are starting to come down because so many apartment buildings
are sitting vacant.
They're sitting next to your house,
yes,
Lizzie.
They sure are. I got a lot of apartments sitting next to my house now.
The average national, the highest rent, it's New York City. Their average rent is $4,000 a month. That's average.
Crazy.
Just the average. Get this nice 1 bedroom with 1 bathroom for $4,000 a month in New York City.
Yeah. My son was renting one in Santa Monica, just a studio for $4,000 a month. Nuts.
Woo! Where was that?
Santa Monica.
Oh, it's such a beautiful area. Mm-hmm. Love Santa Monica, Manhattan Beach.
He said it's as pretty as you think, but living there is a different story. He said it's crime ridden now. It's just crime ridden.
I was talking to a woman from LA 2 weekends ago and she wants out.
Yeah, I'm sure she does. She
wants out of LA.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Bindi. It was no more than 500 square feet. You're exactly right.
She's like, the St. Louis area is like really, really nice.
It really is. My son appreciates
it now. Are you sure?
Yeah.
Is LA that bad?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to each their own, that's for sure. Okay, we'll get the show started. Let's go ahead. We'll get it started. All right, Joe. Hey guys, happy Monday. Welcome into the last day of July 31st. This is cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks and Projo. Happy Monday. The time is ready. We are ready to rock and roll. Let's get you off on this Monday on the right foot. Okay, of course, as always, we're Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central. And all the time on our website, all the original content at cancelthisshow.com. Please check out our partners there as well, the advertising partners. You can look at all the platforms that we're on as well. Please like, subscribe, share the show, send stars when you can do that on Facebook. If you go to those different platforms, like it, give a thumbs up. It helps us reach even more people. So we're grateful when you're there. Mary, stop it. Yay, fall is getting closer.
Woohoo, okay. My favorite too.
I'll take the heat. Baby, let's enjoy the heat. It's going to be for too long.
Yes.
We're going to have wind chills in the teens and stop it. Come on, Mary. I know we're all different. It's still July, even if it's the last day of July.
Yes.
Anyway, Donna says, I wonder how Denver is these days. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks, Projo in the house. Today, we are packed all the way through our 10 o'clock hour. Lots of videos. Lots of certain situations going on, of course, tons of stories as well. We've got it all for you this morning. News headlines, politics, cancel culture education, business, entertainment, and interviews. But that's what we love to do. You guys join us. You share it. You like, you subscribe. You do those things. Okay. Coming up on the show, if anybody didn't know, the DOJ was corrupt already. It is bad. Bad. And if you don't stand up, if you don't say something, if you don't take your votes seriously, I mean, it should be 100 or close to 100% at voter turnouts. You've got to get the message out what the DOJ is doing, what they're trying to do. We'll get into that. I'm not ready to talk about cupcakes, but
someone else is.
The pandemic, allegedly, there's been an uptick in numbers. I know conspiracy theorists do bad conspiracy theorists go, oh, well, here we come. Mail-in ballots.
Yep.
We'll give you, it's interesting. We'll give you some stats, what's going on with that. There's now an email that shows Fauci lied in his testimony to Congress. That's a felony. And it is very interesting because we also have Rand Paul, who has a letter sit in front of the DOJ about it, and they're not doing anything about it. A second DOJ deal. This is where I get really sad. I hear so many people talk about LeBron James. He's given so much money to kids, and he has so much money. But his school, not one eighth grader in 3 years has passed eighth grade math.
Wow.
What's happening? I mean, he's got all these schools, and it sounds good, and everything is, it's all rainbows, it's cookies, lemonade, poolside. But what's really going on? Those stories, plus a massive, entertaining weekend for the Donald Trump. No doubt about it. Lots to get to in the show. We're going to get right into it. I tell you what, I don't know, do we want to jump into the show now, or do we show the advertisers? What do we want to do right now?
Say we shouldn't forget about our advertisers.
Okay, I was just, all right. You know what? We'll show you the advertisers right now. We'll jump in. You don't want to miss this Trump video, this Trump sound. You want to talk about the comparisons of what's happening between him and others. Back in just a couple minutes. These are our partners. If you know of any business people that want to advertise with us, let us know as well, or just send them to our webpage, canceltheshow.com. You click on the partners, you can see the ad rates. Back in just 2 minutes.
House has the largest selection of solid wood with the hottest new styles. Real furniture that's built to last, like our solid bedrooms, living rooms, and dining from Kincaid. Our volume enables us to save you a lot of money, especially during our solid wood sale. Plus, get free financing, fast free delivery, and free in-home design. So for solid wood, sweet styles, and solid service since 1964, shop over 3 football fields of furniture at Carroll House, because you like nice things.
Hey guys, this is Dr. Mahesh Bhagway. I'm an orthopedic surgeon here in St. Louis for over the last 20 years. I went to Washington University. I got my medical degree at St. Louis University. From local high school athletes, college athletes, weekend warriors, injured workers, and even Cardinal baseball players, I've treated them all. Our practice strives to personalize care with every new patient being seen by me. To find me, contact my staff at drbagwe.com. That's DRBAGWE.com. Hopefully you don't need me, but if you do, you can find me now.
Jonathan, what does make Rockwood so special?
Rockwood, we carbonize it higher than anybody else does. So we're cooking out everything that produces ash, smoke, anything like that. It gives you a lot more control over the temperature, a lot more control over the fire, and it's 100% Missouri product.
All right, where can people get it?
It's at 100-plus locations around St. Louis, any Deerberg, Straub's, meat markets, wine and cheese stores, hardware stores, you name it, we're around St. Louis. Just check the website.
And good charcoal should be able to break apart in your hands like
absolutely,
does,
yeah.
Right?
If you can't break it apart by hand, it's not charcoal yet. It's still wood. They didn't do the job, so make sure it can break apart by hand.
All right, get your Rockwood charcoal.
Marco, wait. What? No response? Hi, I'm Curtis Barks with Complete Auto Body and Repair, offering full service and auto repair to St. Louis and St. Charles. We are looking for someone to say polo. That's right, we are hiring. We want you now. If you would like to work in a well-paying environment, then you owe it to yourself to stop by one of our 6 Complete Auto Body and Repair locations. Will you help me find that missing person? Please call me directly at 636-488-HIRE. That's right, 636-488-4473.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixed the cars.
Attention, anyone who served, lived, or worked at Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987. Camp Lejeune's drinking water was dangerously toxic, and base personnel and their families have since suffered cancer and other illnesses. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and were diagnosed with cancer, you may be eligible for significant compensation. Call the Driscoll firm now. Consultations are free, and you won't pay a fee unless we get you the money you deserve. 1-800-805-4800.
Hey guys, welcome back into canceltheshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks and Pro Joe. It is Monday, July 31st. Thanks for jumping back in with us, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. And of course, go to all the platforms. Check out canceltheshow.com if you're a super fan. Go to each platform, like, subscribe, share the show. You can give a thumbs up. Of course, as always, you can send stars on Facebook. That helps as well. Okay, lots to get into today. We'll do it. Your participation as part of this live podcast is huge. We think it separates a lot of the podcasts that are out there. not only for our live listeners, but most of the listeners and viewers that occur after we get off the air at around 10 o'clock Central Time. Okay, like them, don't like them. Nobody else is bringing out crowds like the Donald Trump.
Woo!
The Donald Trump. It's a great way to kick off the show this morning. I don't care if you like him or not, agree with him. At least there's energy surrounding his camp, surrounding his mission, surrounding his campaign. That's not there with other people. It's not. There is no other candidate that can do it. We've talked about it. We respect what Ron DeSantis has done in Florida. His campaign waved the white flag at the beginning of last week. They're trying to reinvent themselves. He's going after Donald Trump now. Too little, too late. This is from Erie, Pennsylvania over the weekend. Just check out the excitement. Can Joe Biden get 100 people to come out and support him? No, because everybody knows he's not. I'm just going to be quiet.
Don't be quiet about that.
Let's roll the tape. Donald Trump's introduction. Yes, it was massive too. Yes. Okay, that gets you excited now.
Oh, gets me excited.
No, it gets you excited. Now we take a listen from Donald Trump's press or his when he actually got to the microphone. Absolutely amazing. He's running away with the race. He's going to be the nominee. We already know that. And over the weekend, before we show you the sound, he also messaged out through his platforms that whether he was tried and convicted and more charges were thrown at him and all kinds of indictments, he said nothing will stop him from running for president in 2024. We're just telling you that. Democrats, guys who like other Republicans, he's your guy. He's running. It's over. Just get with the program. You don't like it, you have to deal with it. Donald is the man. And just listen to him talk a little bit about what he was talking about. Let's see here. It's just a reminder of Donald Trump. Here you go.
I don't know anything about my son's business. My son's business? Remember during the debate, I said, what about your son's business? What about China? Nothing to do with China. They took in millions. But so much more money pours in, and Joe, he knew all about it. It was a big lie. That was the big lie. This is the biggest scandal in U.S. history and perhaps the world, and yet the media doesn't want to report on it. The fake news right over there. A lot of it. They don't want to report on it. They want Pulitzer Prize for covering Russia, right? And then it turned out to be false. They have to turn back their Pulitzer Prizes pretty soon. The Bidens got millions of dollars from Ukraine. Now Ukraine gets billions and billions of dollars from the American taxpayer. Joe Biden is compromised. He's dragging us into a global conflict on behalf of the very same country, Ukraine, that apparently paid his family all of these millions of dollars. In light of this information, the U.S. Congress should refuse to authorize a single additional payment of our depleted stockpiles. Did you see last week? Last week, he said, we have no ammunition. The United States, I rebuilt the military. We had so much ammunition. We had to buy massive storage bins for it. It's almost gone. First of all, that shouldn't have happened. But who would release that? Who would say that? That was classified information, wasn't it, huh? But the weapons stockpiles to Ukraine until the FBI, DOJ, and IRS hand over every scrap of evidence they have on the Biden crime family's corrupt business dealings. We have to know, and the public deserves to know. In addition, Congress should immediately vote to block Joe Biden's recent call-up of reserve forces. We're sending now troops over to Europe to fight. We're sending troops to fuel this escalating conflict. Not a single American life.
Donald Trump, a little bit of that. You can go look it up anywhere you want.
I miss him so much.
He's coming back. Don't worry.
Yes, good.
He's coming.
Good.
Like it or not, The Trump Express is rolling right along this country. For all of his deficiencies or negatives, the positives have proven to outweigh those by a lot, especially when you see all the crap that's going on with the Biden administration.
Correct.
And we don't want this country to go to hell. Unfortunately, we see other people who want the country to go to hell when a guy like Trump is leading it. They would rather see this country fail. They would rather see leaders fail than have somebody succeed that they just don't like. And that's unfortunate. I know it can be human nature. The pride issue comes into play, but Donald Trump is gaining all kinds of momentum, continues to gain it. And for those people who say, well, it's going to be selected by the middle, it's going to be by those independent voters, the middle people, not to the far right or the far left. Okay, fine. That's great. I agree. Do you really think somebody in good conscience, if Joe Biden is run, is going to vote for Joe Biden? Hell
No.
freaking no. And if they do, why? And then if it's another ticket, we can't talk about it because we don't know who the other ticket would be. We can guess. We can try to figure it all out right now, but we really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so here we go. With that being said, Trump Express rolls on. And guess what? More bullshit for the DOJ, for those leading this country, which is coming out. So much crap is being thrown at the American public, and I think it's done on purpose. And it's also done because now you have Republicans on the House Oversight Committee that continue to shine the light on the spiders, shine the light on those cockroaches in the corner. It's time to clean up. Too bad we don't have a bug company.
Yeah, we need a big bug company.
Is Roto-Rooter one of them?
Well, you know, I just put a big picture of Joe Biden in my basement and I have no more bugs.
Oh, I thought you would have a lot of bugs. Take me to my master.
Right. It scares the bugs out of my house.
They have something in common. The cockroach aspect of it.
Right.
The deep state aspect of it. All the crap that's going on in this country, the dirty. And when Trump in that speech, he went on the most corrupt family the White House has ever seen. It's not even close.
For sure.
Joe and his son did it. We're all seeing it. We have evidence of it, regardless if the DOJ does something with it or not. This is what scares the hell out of me. Now, before Devin Archer, who was Hunter Biden's former best friend, who's going to testify at Congress about the alleged corruption that was going on, the DOJ came out a day before yesterday, over the weekend, and tried to get him put in prison early.
I know. Isn't that...
He had a separate issue, a felony issue, where he's going to have to do a year in prison. So before he could give testimony today, the DOJ did everything they could to get him to report to prison.
Of course they did.
So that he could avoid testifying to Congress. That starts with the Biden crime syndicate.
Yes.
With Hunter Biden, with Joe Biden. I don't know if Kamala's smart enough to know what's going on with that. Not trying to be disrespectful, but that's what she's shown us. Who's leading the circus?
Right.
People talk Obama. People talk other families, so to speak, across this country. Special, very rich families.
Yes.
Puppet master-esque. But now you have the DOJ, and it's come out. They knew what the hell was going to go on. They tried to get him to go to prison before he could testify on the Bidens, because now the evidence is mounting over and over, day after day, week after week, and now, believe it or not, month after month. Well, Devin Archer's attorney came out and said that there was no way in hell his client was going to surrender per the DOJ's request before he meets with lawmakers in D.C. today. And then you had 5 House Republicans calling on lawmakers. They're currently in a legislative recess. So the DOJ does this when Congress is in a recess.
Right, for a month.
So you've got Matt Gaetz, Mike Johnson, Chip Roy, Harriet Hageman, Dan Bishop, all trying to get Republicans to come back.
Correct. There was 5 of them. That's it. Everyone else is happy to go on vacation.
And for an emergency hearing to discuss the potential DOJ interference again, not the first time, in the committee's investigation into President Biden and Hunter Biden. The dots are all connecting. They're all pointing right at the Bidens, evidence everywhere. And just because the DOJ doesn't do something with it yet does not mean they're not guilty. It does not mean they haven't done something, because you'll have certain people who want this administration to stay in power go, well, they haven't been charged with anything, so they must not have done anything. Yeah, okay. That's such a sophomoric response. We all know the corruption has reached an all-time high, and we see it. And now we see it. Donald Trump looks like a damn angel compared to all the crap that has gone on and continues to go on. And it starts to frustrate me. I know we shouldn't be surprised, but it's happening, Lizzie.
I know.
Now, the DOJ is just like, screw all you all.
Yeah, they don't care.
We don't care.
We don't care what you think.
You can't touch us anyway. We're better than you. We're the elitist, and we represent the elites in office.
Correct. That the elites are the only one the DOJ cares about. That's it.
When I saw this come out, it blew my mind that it is that in our face.
Yes.
Yeah, we want you to go to prison before you can testify to Congress. What? What?
Yeah, it's so in our face. They're thumbing their noses at us.
Meanwhile, Biden on a 10-day vacation right before an official, on a 10-day vacation right before the Archer hearings happen.
Of course.
Biden over the weekend did finally admit that he has a 7th grandchild. The backlash on that was getting very bad, but somehow, some way, he's coming in now. All of us, oh yeah, we do have another grandchild. I mean, they have teams together. They're doing whatever they can to try to raise his numbers. We said it last week, the second lowest, and if it was an honest polling, it would be the lowest, second lowest approval rating of any president in the history of the United States. Of course, it's the worst administration, as we've said over and over again, and given you fact over and over again of what's actually happening. By the way, you can check us out on cancelthisshow.com. We have several platforms for our live listeners and viewers, and for our listeners and viewers who catch this podcast when they can after we're live from 8 to 10 a.m. Central. And of course, all the time on our website, cancelthisshow.com, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. The DOJ doing all of this right now, pushing it through. So they're literally, and they know what's going on. Quote, the DOJ is now actively committing the crime of obstructing a congressional investigation. That coming from Representative Matt Gaetz. He goes on to say, quote, if Devin Archer isn't in the witness chair Monday, we better haul every SOB at the DOJ before Congress every day to make them pay for this. It scares me because our once great country is not great right now. Because when you can't trust the DOJ, what can you trust? Anything can happen to you at any point in time. And when you bring evidence of what should be a massive investigation and or charges, nothing is done. But this isn't the first rodeo for the DOJ. This has continued to happen over and over again. The Secret Service at the White House with the cocaine, the investigation into the guy dying at Obama's, the chef dying. We still don't understand all of that.
Correct. Well, even Pelosi. Look at the weird stuff with the hammer business.
His lover.
Yes. There's
allegedly
all this corruptness going on, but yet they raid Donald Trump's house. Give me a break.
Let's go crazy. Oh my God, there's documents.
And we don't care. We don't care.
The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, by the way, sent a letter to Devin Archer, on Saturday, requesting that he surrendered to prison concerning his 2018 felony convictions. That was for a role that he had in a conspiracy to defraud a Native American tribe. Yeah, he's not a great guy in regards to what he's done in the past. There's no doubt about that. So he was sentenced to a year behind bars, but the sentence has been repeatedly postponed over a series of appeals by his attorney. So they did what they could to try to get him, force him into jail before he could make any sort. I'd be afraid for him and his safety.
Oh, absolutely. Like Lisa on our chat line is saying, and I won't say the word, but Devin Archer did not unalived.
Yeah, that's a good word. Unalived, just like the cupcake.
Yes. Need to keep your eye on that guy.
The letter didn't specifically demand that Archer go to prison before he testified Monday, but to set a date to begin the jail sentence. That's the exact, but they're putting it out right before he testifies. And you know why they're doing that? If they couldn't get him in jail, they're trying to discredit him.
Yes.
From a national standpoint, because they know what's going to be said. They know what's going to happen here. In the midst of all this going on, Biden is not campaigning. He doesn't have support anywhere. He's not a good guy. He was forced to admit that he has a 7th grandchild. So if anybody wants to say that Trump wasn't a, quote, good guy, Biden's got him beat on that. Then if we want to talk policies, it's a no-brainer. We can't go down that road. Kamala Harris, nowhere to be found. All the momentum is going towards Donald Trump. And then in the midst of all of that, why aren't these things being pushed through by the DOJ? Is it that much of a third world country all of a sudden that the DOJ is going to refuse to do this? What can happen to stop this?
I don't know what can happen because they're just ramming it down our throats.
Jay says corruption knows no limits at this point.
Right.
And lots don't know or don't care because the mainstream media doesn't cover any of it. They don't. And then the mainstream media gets pissed if you call them out. They do.
They do.
Local news, national news. And it doesn't mean we're bad people. It means that cover the damn full story. Local news doesn't know how to cover a national story, and they shouldn't. So they shouldn't even touch upon it. They just shouldn't.
No.
They shouldn't. They don't have the resources. They don't have the know-how, and they don't have the quality of people to do it right now. They just don't. I lived it. I worked it. They don't. They just take what the national news does and feeds it to you.
Right.
The problem is we know national news is bought and paid for, and that's on both sides, and you don't get the full story all the time everywhere.
Yeah. Well, and for the first time in a long time, I turned on local news this weekend. I just wanted to see what it's like. And you're spot on. The things that are local, okay, they probably did that, just the happenings around town. That was fine. But when the minute they started doing anything national, they looked absolutely amateur and ridiculous. And that's how long it's been since I've watched it. I didn't know hardly anyone in any of the news channels.
Yeah, well,
I don't even know who they are.
There's no local news doesn't have resources on the weekend either. They don't staff.
That's true.
Because they don't have money anymore because advertisers are pulling away from local advertising.
Yep.
They just
Good
are.
point.
And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be nasty. I'm not trying to hurt people because you've heard me say this several times. I love, and I repeat, love a lot of people who work in local news. I do. But they've got their hands tied. They just do.
They do.
And it's unfortunate. This is cancelthisshow.com. As bad as the DOJ is, I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks and Projo. That's not it. The DOJ is also sitting on a massive story with Fraudci.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not changing, and things are starting to pick up, and the heat is coming on him.
Yes.
Thank God once again for an oversight committee and Republicans in the House to actually try to get some work done so that everything that's been going on for quite some time starts to be uncovered. Rand Paul recently joined Laura Ingram's show to talk about what is happening with Dr. Fauci and Fraudci. And even though he has, quote, retired, he still gets called to certain very liberal institutions to do certain events and certain talks. But why isn't the DOJ acting on this? Check this out from Rand Paul on his episode with Laura Ingraham talking all about this situation regarding Fauci and what he has done, because right now he says there's an email that shows that Fauci's COVID testimony was an absolute lie, and there's proof of it.
In all of this.
Yeah, it involves money. But as you'll recall, when Anthony Fauci came before my committee, he said absolutely he funded no gain-of-function research in China. But we now have an email from him where he describes the research they're doing and says, you know what? We are suspicious of the lab because we know they are doing gain-of-function research. He describes the project, but the project he described is the project he funded. So everything he's been telling us from the very beginning has been a lie. We've documented that it's a lie, and it's a felony to lie to Congress. And so I've referred him not once, but now twice to the Attorney General of the United States for prosecution.
Yeah.
But as you know, this Attorney General is the most partisan Attorney General we've ever had, and it's good luck on getting him to do his job.
Well, at least Anthony Fauci has a plum position at Georgetown University, Senator. So they take care of their own. It's great to see you because it was a little late for you at 10 o'clock. So now we.
So Rand Paul laying out again the evidence that is against Fauci, the DOJ refusing to do anything about it. Refusing to do anything about it. Now, Republicans and people who care get pissed at other Republicans in Congress for not doing something. And we've talked about that several times here. What can they actually do? Do they have the ability to impeach? Do they have the ability to go after Biden? In some cases, yes, but overall they don't. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money, and it takes away from all the uncovering that they continue to do as well. So conservatives get pissed, but at the same point in time, this is the most we have ever seen come forward. I know it's a balancing act situation on what's happening.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Helen gives a take. I detest Rand Paul. He is as guilty as Fauci for the deaths around the world. He was a major shareholder in the monoclonal antibodies.
And I've heard what Helen is saying too, and that makes a lot of sense. Because that's why he doesn't want to impeach him. I like Rand Paul, except for when you do dig in, surfacey, I like Rand Paul. But when you dig into it, there's something just off about him. Well, except for his hair. He's got nice hair like you do. he's got some good hair.
I'm just glad he's gone after Fauci because nobody else has gone after Fauci. And he has absolutely disarmed, disrobed, and made Fauci look like the joke that he is, the liar that he is. And Angie even says, Vic, sorry, Vic, the news over here lies all the time as well. No need to be sorry. It is what it is. That's what happens. And then Jay says, of course, I've seen the trend in local news now where they're interjecting their opinion into coverage. That was when I started to get frustrated. And as I've told everybody before, Vic, just don't get frustrated. Just collect your check and go with it. So anyway, but somebody had to go after Fauci. If it wasn't Paul, who was it going to be? And a doctor made sense. And I don't care if you break down what kind of doctor he is or not. He has gone after, uncovered, and showed the lies that Fauci had. And we have talked about it on our previous radio show. And then moving on to this, the gain of function research. It did happen. It was paid for. Fauci lied about it. There's emails sitting on the DOJ desk about how he lied in private conversations. It's all a farce. It was all a farce.
Yes.
And it did happen. And they were worried how we would look in China. And then we get into the biolabs in Ukraine. It's a lot of crap. It's so hard for the average American who is under average intelligence to follow, to care enough to go study, because, of course, we're all happy with what's going on in our lives right now. But the DOJ is sitting on it. They're sitting on it, not doing anything. And if Rand Paul was out there saying something that wasn't true, trust me, there would be backlash from the other side coming after him. It would not happen. But we sit here and we go, gee, is something going to happen? But remember what Republicans can do. All you can do is educate the people right now. And then it's up to the people who are pissed enough to go do something about it and vote the right people in.
Correct. You have to be loud. The Republicans have to be loud because this is going to happen again. We know it's going to happen again. And so we cannot say to people, oh, it's no big deal. It's your choice. It's my choice. You have to say no. Just say no, because they're going to do all of this again right before the election. They're going to put a mask on our kid. They're going to do all of that. It's just say no.
Well, I get concerned also, and this is what's interesting regarding the Fauci stuff with everything that's been going on, because the CDC just issued a warning about an increase in the C-19 hospitalizations in the United States. Okay. Now, they indicate that a 10% spike has occurred. It's the sharpest increase since December of 2022, 10% increase. However, numbers can lie as well, or you don't know the full story. The hospitalizations rose from 7,100 from the previous week where they were 6,400, literally calling them C-19 hospitalizations. Additionally, the C-19 related emergency room visits rose from 0.49% to 0.73%. Those are minuscule, but it's still talking about what's going on. Dr. Brendan Jackson, he's the CDC's, C-19 incident manager in Atlanta. He said, quote, after roughly 6-7 months of steady declines, things are starting to tick back up again.
I mean, come on, man.
I know.
I mean, it's like we know what's going on.
He says it could be a late summer surge.
Of course. It's going to be so huge and everybody better hurry up. But, people are believing that because for the first time in a long time, I saw quite a few people this weekend with masks on.
What?
I did. And I'm like, what the heck? I went into the grocery store and I probably saw 7 people with masks on. And I'm like, oh, you know exactly who's watching CNN. I mean, you know exactly what they're watching. And I wanted to so bad walk up to him and tap him on the back and go, there is other news. Why don't you listen to Cancel This? Because you've got a mask on your face, you idiot. But I didn't. I didn't. I did the Christ-like thing and walked on, but my brain wasn't Christ-like. I was like,
what do you mean? Somebody said something to you?
No, I wanted to say something to them. I wanted to. They were right in front of me, and I wanted to tap them on the shoulder. I did.
We let people be who they want to be.
I don't.
Right?
Yeah, but it's just they're so dumb. I mean, come on. It's 100 degrees outside, and you got a mask on your face. You're more apt to pass out from not being able to breathe than you getting a germ in your mouth in August. Come on.
And everybody's opinion is welcome. We have never had, at least I haven't. Hey, if you wanted to get a cupcake and get 5 or 6 of them, fine, go do it. If you want to wear a mask, go do it. It was my issue from that Lizzie standpoint of don't try to force me, my kids, my family, my loved ones to do any of that crap.
But that's the problem, Vic, is when they do it, I've met people that wear masks, and when they finally admitted it was wrong, when they're wearing this mask, they feel muzzled, they feel insecure, all of that. So misery loves company. So when they're miserable and all pokeyed up and have masks, they want you to do it too. They do.
Maybe.
Oh, I would say a lot of them do. I would say a lot of them do.
Maybe they do, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I don't have a problem with anybody wearing them. It doesn't affect me anymore. I mean, it is, I was convinced. I saw somebody walking down the street 2 weeks ago. It was in the 90s. And I was convinced it was somebody just trying to start crap.
They had a mask on?
Yeah, with a mask. I was like, this is a social experiment. There's no way in hell. There's no way in hell.
You would think so, but
somebody's
I'm seeing
just trying to get a response out of people or get attention. There is no way in hell somebody would be walking down the street, 90-degree weather with nobody around them,
right,
and a mask on. No way in hell.
That you're right. They're either making some sort of a statement or they're just so scared. They're so scared and they believe the hype. Because if you turn on these mainstream media shows, it's like, oh my God, put a mask on. Oh my gosh, get a you know what.
But I don't want to piss people off who are wearing a mask. If you want to, fine. You want to walk down the street naked if the police let you, do whatever you want. If you want to have tattoos, if you want to go do whatever, go do whatever you want.
That is true.
But don't be freaking treading on me, my family, my loved ones again.
Yes.
This is why it should all be brought to light. What should be happening with all this? Rob says, Vic, you should have asked that person to double mask up.
Yeah. Yes. And I should mind my own business.
Show me your points of entry on your arm.
Right. I do mind my own business, but I just see when I see that, I know what news they're watching. I know exactly what they're thinking. And they do. They look at you over their mask with these sad, scared eyes like, where's your mask? Where's your mask? They emanate that.
Well, it's one of those topics we don't want to talk. I know people are still wearing them. We get news that, there's been, a little minuscule 7,000 cases of C-19 incidents. It's like, okay, we're not listening to it. We don't want to hear it. Why is the CDC putting this crap out there again? Mike says, I work at Costco and I see at least a few people every day wearing a mask. And you know what? Maybe it helps them. We don't know everybody's situation.
True.
That's for sure.
That is true.
So we let them do what they're going to do and go there. Aaron says, just put a plastic bag over your head. Mask holes.
Mask holes. It is. There are mask holes.
Yeah, of course. We talked about that so many times here before.
I think some people who wear masks that have autoimmune diseases, hey, I'm all for it. Do whatever you got to do to make yourself feel safe, but don't impose that belief on me.
That's exactly right. And that's the only reason why I'm fearful of that is because misery does love company. And if they would just wear it and go on their merry way, I have no problem with that either. But that's not what happens.
It is. Joe, can you get that video ready, buddy, of people falling out? It's okay.
All fallen out.
And we have seen these videos for years when they have come. We're going to show you LeBron in a little bit for our viewers. Was that the one right there? The LeBron son? Yeah, that is. Okay. Well, we all knew about LeBron James, and we got something to talk about him coming up with his schools, and it's not so good. His son fell out last week. Just fell out in a basketball court game. Just super healthy kid, boom, on the ground. Also a week and a half ago in California, American ground, you had an announcer die on TV. We talked about that, but did we show the video of him collapsing?
No,
I'm not sure.
No, I don't think so.
And it became an unalived situation, unfortunately for him. So many things continue to happen, and it's all around the world, and it's here, and it's interesting. It's just, we'll talk more about that. because it's the byproduct of everything that's happened. But check out the video because LeBron was asked about his health status and what happened to his son and why, who was supposedly healthy.
And if you're confirming that you did get the vaccine,
it's not a big deal.
Bodies. This is what they wanted, dropping bodies. Every time I turn the TV on, they dropping bodies. Chicago ain't got nothing on these bodies. They dropping left and right. We try to tell you about these bodies. Hey, we try to tell you about these bodies, but you didn't want to listen about these bodies. And now you might be dropping like a body, cause this is what they wanted. Take a look at all the bodies.
Wow. LeBron James is having a rough couple.
Well, it gives me chills when you see a video like that, when people take the time to put a compilation together of things that have been happening, because it's so easy in our life and everything's so fast paced. We see something, it's in one ear, it's out the other. The next day, something else is happening. But I always say, look at the scorecard, check out the scorecard. It doesn't lie. And these things continue to happen. And it's like, holy crap. As Rob says, it's sad. People were forced into what we just watched, and from a variety of cases, from a variety of situations.
Exactly.
LeBron said that he and his family took it back in a 2021 press conference from Aaron. I did know that. I saw it.
Yeah.
They don't want to say it now. And it is interesting when all that stuff happens. And David reminds us that, collapsing isn't always cupcake related. That's true. No doubt about that. However, it is interesting. We've seen more of this happen.
Yes.
Than we have ever seen before.
Exactly.
And it's not, we've had TVs around for quite some time. We've had mass media around for quite some time. And all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. We've talked about it, the amount of athletes all across this world. And it is interesting when you look at reports of how people, how their medical situation changed and how they may have become unalive. More and more times we're not being told cause of it.
Correct. They're leaving it very vague.
Very, very vague. And I found that interesting, especially from reading so many reports over the years being in news. Something has changed.
For sure.
The reporting has changed. Why? Why is it happening? But this stuff is going on. And you're like, okay, wait a second. Is something actually happening? And, it's interesting is, we get the next piece of video ready. This blew my mind a little bit. We have a doctor. We had a doctor on our show and for 3 weeks, and he was super popular. And he told us he hadn't seen an uptick in myocarditis in his practices in the St. Louis area. I spoke to another doctor, considered to be one of the best heart doctors, if you will, in America. And he's like, I really haven't seen an uptick.
Interesting.
I talked to another doctor, cardiovascular, who said, yeah, there was no doubt that I'd say, and he's in Oklahoma City.
That there wasn't.
Yes.
Yeah. Even the doctors are divided on it.
100%. So I'm wondering, does it depend on where people live? Is it the kind of patients that they're seeing?
Correct.
That makes all of this be talked about?
Yes. Even their political bent makes a difference for them, I think.
You think?
Yeah, I do. If you're sitting in the same room, no matter what the occupation is, if they lean to the right, they have a different view than if they lean to the left.
Oh man, I'm going with the doctors would never do that.
I do not trust doctors anymore since the whole pandemic. I used to really trust my doctor. I had a stroke and I loved what my doctor said. But during the entire time, he had a mask on his face and he said all kinds of stuff. And now after the fact, he goes, yeah, I just went with what all the other doctors said. And actually someone that had a stroke or has fainting spells and you put a mask on their face, they're more apt to faint. So he changed his mind.
Dr. Chris Allen Shoemaker gives some information regarding myocarditis.
Myocarditis, as it's called, is stunningly more common than has been thought of recently. The background should normally be 1 in a million persons might have myocarditis. The fact is that both in the U.S. military and in studies being done in Thailand, in each setting, it is proving out to be from 17 to 24%, an average roughly in both settings of 20%. a 20% occurrence of myocarditis, proven by echocardiogram and proven by thallium scan and proven by echocardiographic changes with prolongation of PR interval, are occurring in 20% of persons who have been given the COVID vaccine. 20% means 20 per 100, which means 200 per 1,000, which means 200,000 per million. 200,000 out of every million people that get the COVID vaccine will have electrocardiographic and other evidence of myocarditis, which means heart damage. People who have myocarditis live, 50% of them, for only 5 years.
Wow.
50% will not have that terrible result, but 50% will die within 5 years. That's a medical fact. So we have taken a condition that should exist in 1 in a million people and turned it into a condition for 200,000 out of a million people. And 100,000 of them will die within 5 years because that is what happens with myocarditis. And we have allowed that to happen because we have allowed a vaccine that is cardiotoxic to be put into our systems. I'm extremely sorry to tell you this fact, but fact it is.
Wow, I liked his voice. Somebody asked though if he was AI.
No, he's not AI.
But
the way he talks.
Wow, he's bringing the truth, in my opinion. Because something is different. It is. Something is different. And our society is not even the same. Between people just dropping, people arguing, the division, people seem so much weaker. They hide at the first chance. They just run inside. I mean, this has all been purposeful. And here it is. The least of it all is whether we wear a mask or not. The big part of it is just dropping. People are just dying.
Yeah, I'm not. There's a lot of things contributed, in my opinion, to people losing their minds.
Yeah, I agree. There is a lot.
I mean, and losing their health from diet, looking at everything that we put into our bodies, a disregard for other people, those sorts of things. Jay said, yeah, I had a teacher like him who just kind of put me to sleep.
And they talk like
those were the worst kind. I had those before.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to use some Van Dyke Brown now.
Yes. As soon as he has that, I'm going to go to sleep with his voice. I love it.
Some midnight blue.
Yes. I do like it.
Lisa says, but now, guys, we have to figure out what to do with the shedding. That was
right.
See, but that was another time. I never really understood it. I wanted, but we didn't really have evidence.
I mean, some people just lived it. Where I worked in a place where every single person before here, and I'm just going to call it out, I worked at iHeart, and every single person there got the stuff in their arm. I refused to. And then they all, I would say a week or two after they almost got it all within a week. Every one of them came down with the C. And then about a week and a half later, I got it too. I got it too. And so I sat there and watched these people, and they all had every excuse in the book about how it was a coincidence or this. No, they had to shut the place down. And even the DJs had to do their things from home or be closed up in a room. And I did get it too, but I wasn't around anyone else that had it, but all of these people. So I feel like I was shedded upon for sure. I do think
you were shat upon.
I was shat upon. I was shat and shit on.
That's not fair.
Right. I didn't take it, but you know what? A lot of them had it longer. I went and got the concoction. I found a doctor that would give me the concoction, and that's, with a compounding pharmacist. And I was boom. And they were sick for a long time. So, and I was really, 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 really sick, but I got those things. I got the concoction and was better within 24 hours of taking the concoction.
It is interesting thinking of these things that have happened. And, there's so much crap going on right now with the Biden administration, the DOJ, Hunter and Joe specifically, bad things happening, crime things happening, chefs dying.
Yes.
Cocaine not being found. Whose is it? We don't know. money laundering. The House Oversight Committee continues to find all of this stuff. And then you start to get some information put out there about possible increase in C-19 cases.
Yes.
And then of course, and then we see, it's happening on a weekly basis where people are collapsing. We're just being real. It's happening. People may know people. You may have loved ones. You may have family members. You may have friends. The thing that concerns me is that we continue to see and hear from people that say the worst is yet to come.
Mm-hmm.
That bodies are changed. Our bodies can become changed, where the insides can start to do different things. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This could still be out there. That's what's concerning. You would hope that okay, we went through it. It's over. It's time to move on. And of course, it's not. So we talk about some of these stats because now they're starting to come out.
Yes.
And what's starting to happen. And how are you going to feel? How do you feel? I know some people that have some conditions and they don't know why they feel a certain way.
And did they get the thing? Okay.
Yes. And they're like, okay, I don't know. This came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Right.
Starting with my dad.
Your dad?
Yeah.
And he got it?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
And now massive issues out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Previously being healthy.
And you hear that over and
heart.
over and over again. Primarily it is the heart. And then, so they get tired so much faster. So, I mean, and you have to think logically, like if you think with common sense and just logic and not opinion, you were putting something in your arm that they have a cure for cancer, but say they don't. Okay, so they can't cure cancer, but they can all of a sudden cure the C? Come on. Common sense is if you put that in your arm, you do not know the consequences. So it was a humongous risk. It was a way bigger risk to take it than to not take it, in my opinion. Just common sense.
Yeah, and we're not trying to push it all back into the news or do anything. It's just some of these things.
Well, but it's coming up. I mean, it's coming up. The liberal channels are pushing this with the CDC. So we're just talking about.
Are they real? I haven't even had a chance to see it.
CNN and MSNBC are pushing this whole CDC scare that the CDC is going to come out. That's why you see people with more masks on, and people are thinking, "Oh my gosh, I got to get another B in my anatomy." And so they're pushing it. And of course, in my opinion, it's due to the election coming up so that they can do mail-in ballots and all that. But there's even a bigger nefarious thing. It all boils down to changing our population, changing the way that we are, changing the things that we put in our arm. We're taking our children, making boys into girls, and you're changing the type of society that we live in, similar to China with population control. It's not an accident. This is all happening. People think it is, or they think the government is taking care of it. No, they're trying to change our population.
We have shown on this show several sound bites and people talking about that with evidence from a quote population idea. I mean, even 3 weeks ago, the vice president said that things will be better for this entire world if we had a smaller population. I mean, it's like, did she mean to say that? Did she really mean? And we played that on this show for you as well. You can go back and try to find it. I cannot remember what show that was, but she did. She said it. You can take her word for it. Played it. Even the vice president said it publicly.
Yes.
Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum has also said it as well.
Correct.
No surprise there. These are bad things that are happening, and we're trying to do our best with it.
Even Bill Gates has said it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! And by the way, we're going to do a Gate show.
A whole show on it.
We'll do a Gate show.
Yes.
There's so much.
There's so much there. He was telling us what he was going to do 20 years ago.
That'll be a Friday show.
Yes. And we need to do that because if you really understand what's going on with BG, I don't want to say his name because I think something happened to us because we said it. However, he is told us a long time ago, and we will do that show for sure.
And by the way, while we have you guys here, Friday, you won't want to miss our guests who we have. John Moore, J.R. Moore,
yes,
former Green Beret, special forces, homicide investigators. He breaks down Antarctica and what's happening in Antarctica. It'll blow your freaking mind.
Yes, you cannot miss Friday, guys. You
also,
cannot.
some rumors confirmed regarding those people who live in the St. Louis area, St. Charles County, where the Manhattan Project dump occurred. Some things there that he is, quote, pretty much clarifying that, yes, rumors were true about what was actually going on there. So you will not want to miss that show.
Don't want to miss it.
Just about who's visited Antarctica, who's been there, why they have been there. And it all goes back to World War II. And it is just phenomenal when you hear some of the evidence and education that's been put forward, not only by him, by military personnel, by archaeologists.
Yes.
And by the way, I was told by our good friend Ben from Winties, he's like, why does all of our, that's Antarctica is where all of our seedlings are kept of everything.
Oh.
Everything world kept in Antarctica.
The World Sea Vault.
Seed Vault.
The Seed Vault. Why is it there where nobody can go? That's that's Friday. We'll kick that off. We'll have him on about 8:05. If you can't watch it live or listen to it live, you'll have a chance to do that as soon as the show ends, of course, as well at any time on cancelthisshow.com. But we've been trying and we're working hard. And we finally found somebody who's next to none when it comes to the information that would be put forward. But boy, Ben's like, yeah, well, all the seedlings are there. And I'm like, why do we have 30,000 troops there? 30,000 troops in Antarctica.
Yeah.
And of course, as many things happen when it comes to a military standpoint, you have to sign those disclosures. You don't talk. You don't say anything or bad things happen to you and your family.
Correct.
That's for sure. I did see from our comment line, Robert said, I thought it was in Sweden or Norway. I was told it was Antarctica.
Yeah.
With the seedlings. Had you heard that as well too then, Joe? Is that why you were saying?
No, the Antarctica. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I've heard it
I've
Antarctica.
never heard Sweden, but yeah, no, I think Antarctica is definitely the safest place.
Yeah, so you can promote that show, J.R. Moore. He does podcasting in the morning as well. On many of these topics and things like this. So we're grateful for that. That's where Stargate is as well. We opened it. I wanted to tease it while we had people listening.
Yeah.
And of course, we didn't want it to go off too far, but Jay says Antarctica, also the greatest oil reserves in the world and precious metals. We'll ask him about that as well. We'll get into that topic, of course, coming up on Friday. We continue to bring you guests all week long as we do on Cancel This Show, cancelthisshow.com, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m., and all the time on our website at cancelthisshow.com. When it comes to our partners, we're grateful to bring you what we do. We're always looking for more partners, but complete auto body repair throughout the St. Louis metropolitan area, 7 climate-controlled locations. They'll do everything with the car from A to Z. Several of our viewers and listeners who live throughout the metropolitan area go to completeab.com. They take care of you. If they can't help you, they'll send you where they should. Or if you really don't need something right now, they're not going to charge you. They'll tell you what the real deal is. Sandy Travis, their human resources manager, always looking for people. And that company is growing, whether you like to wear a suit and sell, whether you're a technician, nobody is going to be a better situation or better fit for you than Complete Auto Body and Repair. Green Light Dispensary throughout the St. Louis metropolitan area. They're also in Arkansas, West Virginia when it comes to their cannabis products. They're the largest throughout the state of Missouri, which means they can offer you the best price and they have the best products as well. They're stocked with their flower as well. Go to greenlightdispensary.com. You can also go to cancelthisshow.com. And then we're showing you that picture right now. You can actually click that promo code and you can take that in with you for a discount on your products. Just let them know. They'll know too, but cancelthisshow.com. They say, come in, they'll teach you about it. They'll talk about it. It's becoming more popular because people want to get away from pharma. They're tired of dealing with pharma drugs, and there are success stories right and left now with people using the cannabis products. So again, we're grateful for them, just as we're grateful to Kathy Helbig Strick, Steve Strick, Experienced Real Estate Partners, 314-276-SOLD, 314-276-SOLD. They'll take care of you from that standpoint when it comes to everything on the house and the mortgage side. Give them a call. yes, they're a realty company, but I think now if you've tried to buy a house or sell a house right now, it's like unlike any other time in the history of our country, you can't do it by yourself. Don't put yourself in a bind. Don't waste money. Do it right from the start. Give Kathy and her team a call, experiencerealestatepartners.com, or you can go to our website, canceltheshow.com, and click on the link, and they will take care of you and show that. And of course, it is that time of year. Physicals are going on. Kids may get hurt. You may be old, pretty much from, 6 to 80 years old. Dr. Mahesh Bagwe, one of the top orthopedic surgeons throughout the St. Louis metropolitan area. WashU trained, several years of experience throughout the St. Louis area, the son of 2 doctors as well. My kids have benefited by going to Dr. Mahesh. He gave us the right advice when it came to what they should do, when they should go back, how they should take on certain injuries that they've had. Could not be more pleased with what Dr. Mahesh Bagwe has done. Not only for my family, I couldn't recommend them any higher. You can go to drmaheshbagwe.com, drmaheshbagwe.com. Of course, Carroll House Furniture, as always, Brooke Dummin and crew, bringing you the best in furniture. They've been there with us from the start. Carroll House, when you do go in there and buy your nice things, let them know that you got it from canceltheshow.com. It always helps when they know that they have partnered with us from that standpoint to make sure that they get the best stuff out there. Also, Vehicle Protection Group, Biff McCullough and crew are out there. Look them up, Vehicle Protection Group, when it comes to car warranties. They need employees right now when it comes to making money. Their top people are making in 6 figures right now. All inbound calls, Vehicle Protection Group, they'll take your calls. You literally work shifts and you take calls that are coming in, and you sell warranties, and it's for all ages. Their top earner right now is a woman, who's a middle-aged woman who's making the most money of anybody in the group right now. And they didn't know what she would be able to do when she first started. And now she is rocking and rolling everything through there. So that's a look at some of our advertisers, our sponsors. We are grateful for them. And of course, Rockwood Charcoal nationwide. Jonathan Heslop, he'll be in studio tomorrow during our 9:00 hour as well. So the best charcoal you're going to find, as we've been taught in the show, real charcoal should break apart in your hands. It should not be very hard, because that means you're not getting real charcoal and you're dealing with stuff that's not very good for you as well. So welcome to canceltheshow.com. We're grateful for everybody who likes our show. Like, subscribe, share the show. You can send us stars on Facebook. You can jump in. This is a live podcast, and your interaction is what specializes this podcast. It makes it a little different. Of course, our live listeners, you can do that. Our listeners who catch us when we're taped or after we're done from 8 to 10 a.m. Central, can jump in. They can't jump in on the live line, but you can comment throughout the day. We do go in there. Lizzie is amazing. You jump in on occasion and talk with
I do
people.
at least a couple times a day. It'll alert my phone. And so if somebody comments, say at 2:00 in the afternoon, I try to get to it and look at it and comment.
And you enjoy it.
I love it. I love it. My favorite part of this is talking to the listeners. I absolutely love it. And I can honestly say our listeners are absolutely the most educated in politics and anything in society. And I learn a lot from them. And they give us articles and tell us where to go. I am a big fan of our fans.
We also want to remind everybody that Metro Shooting Supplies, one of the largest gun shops throughout the St. Louis area. If you go in, you can go to canceltheshow.com. You can click on Metro Shooting Supplies. They have, we have coupons listed. They have training discounts right now and holster discounts. So when you get your training, and everybody should be trained if they're shooting a gun, and updated training, and any special kind of holsters, Metro Shooting Supply has partnered with canceltheshow.com. Check them out. You can go to our website, canceltheshow.com. You can click the coupon right there. They'll take care of you and get you associated with everything that's going on. Of course, Wenty's, another sponsor. We're there all the time. We appreciate Ben, Marlin, crew, and Strategic Air Services. If you want to fly private, there's no better place to fly than through Strategic Air Services. You can give them a call, 636-400-7601. That's 636-400-7601. They're the premier private transportation providers in all things aviation throughout the St. Louis metropolitan area, from aircraft management to concierge services and acquisition. I had some friends who just took a trip to South America from here.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, they were down in South America. So they'll take care of you literally.
That's awesome.
I say A to Z. when it comes to cars, or A to Z when it comes to the plane.
We need to get Kevin back on, because when he was on earlier, he's so busy right now. Because I asked him, I was like, can you come on? He's like, yeah. Because if you have a group of people, it's not that much more to fly with Strategic Air Services than it would be to go American Airlines. If you have a big group, you fly in style, and you don't have all the hassle either.
Well, I keep running into more and more people who are getting their pilot's license.
Yeah.
And it's not just because we have a facility here. I just run out. It's like, oh, I've got my pilot's license.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm learning. And younger kids too. So many younger kids are coming here working because they want to be pilots.
Love it.
They love to fly, and they see the value in it moving down the road and what can happen. This is cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks and Projo. We appreciate your comments and everything that we possibly can jump into with all of the interesting stories that we have going on. So we were showing LeBron James earlier, and I love the guy for how much money he has given back, but I also get concerned when I see stories that happen. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but LeBron James middle school, like he started a middle school and put millions and millions and millions of dollars into it, and he's trying to help kids. And the only problem is that when you're trying to help kids, do you really know how to run a school?
Right. Just because you have money doesn't make you an owner of a school.
Yeah, you were an educator.
Yes. Yes.
And you saw LeBron James school. It's not easy, is it?
No. Owning a school. I owned a school. I owned 10 schools in the St. Louis area, and it's very hard. And it's hard finding people that can really educate people appropriately. Even just because you have a degree or you have money doesn't make you a good educator. And so, his heart wasn't right.
But do you get concerned when it comes to the charter schools and schools that are coming up to try to help out when it comes to the problem with middle schools and public schools that we've talked about so often?
Yes, I do have a real big problem with that. There's some really great charter schools, but the majority of them is just a way to funnel kids through a public school system, and they're really no different. They're no different. And this is no bashing on educators. Almost every educator I know, they are wonderful, but their hands are tied, especially in the public school system. Their hands are tied.
But I'm talking about with charter schools though.
Right. If you look at a charter school, you have to really look close, because they're not necessarily better than any other public school. It just gives them a name. But it doesn't always make them better. Sometimes it does. It honestly depends on the administrator.
Well, he opened this school back in 2018. It was called the I Promise School in Akron, Ohio. And, it was transforming the lives of kids. They were at-risk students, and they were born into a bunch of bad situations. But according to the Akron Beacon Journal, who just did a report and released this is really, really, really bad.
It is.
The I Promise School's fall class of 8th graders, they haven't had one student pass the math test.
See, that proves the point of
in 5 years.
Very sad. Very sad. You'd think in 5 years, at least one would.
When they started in 3rd grade, all the way, not one has passed 8th grade math. What do you do with that?
I think it's hard, because the kids that are coming in are already very at-risk kids, and they're coming in and they don't even get food or anything. But if they can't pass math and we're putting them out into our society, that's a really big problem. And there it is. It's another charter school. That is just a name that's masking a problem that's not getting fixed.
Well, we're not seeing the kind of change that you'd want to see with at-risk kids. I mean, that's clearly the case right now. And
yes.
I don't think, clearly LeBron's not making money. He's giving this money back trying to help. But where's all the money going? Because so many times we see tons of money being given to certain programs, specifically in city backdrops.
Yes. Yes.
Where money is mismanaged. Correct people are not hired.
Correct.
You have to have a certain political preference to work at schools.
True.
You're forced to do certain, but this isn't a public school. It's a private school.
Right.
This is a charter school. Charter schools they're private. Wouldn't you call them private?
It depends. Some charter schools are private, and some it's just the same public money funneling through it with some private money.
Now, it's also important to know that, when you're talking about at-risk kids, they're bringing in kids coming from bad situations who've had problems before. And anybody knows, starting right here, if you didn't pay attention as a child, or if you weren't paying attention in math and you didn't apply yourself in, let's say, 6th grade, everything builds upon itself. Then you're behind in 7th grade. Then you're behind in 8th grade, and you hit high school and you're like, what the just happened? And you're like, how the hell do I do pre-algebra, algebra? What, I'm supposed to go do geometry and chemistry? Are you kidding me? I'm trying to get through basic math. And then that problem continues when you go to college. I remember Math 10 at Mizzou. I was like, oh my God, I had to study with a tutor every damn night just to make sure that I could do it. And some kids don't get math. They just
don't get it. I'm one of those that just don't get math. I don't. And I had some really great teachers. But like Paula said on the chat line, and she's an educator, but I won't say where. And you have to understand the kids. So just because you threw a little money at a school and hired some teachers, you have to understand each child is an absolute individual, more so now than ever, the way that people are learning and how they're coming from poverty. If you don't figure the kids out and figure out what makes them tick, they will never learn. For example, I taught first grade and I had a little boy that they told me he could not read, he could not talk, he could not whatever. And it took me half the school year. And I remember the little boy, I finally said, oh my gosh, he was speaking in a language I don't understand. And he was speaking Ubonics. And so I thought he was saying, he would be going, blah, 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 blah. But when I really listened, he was going, when I was asking him the letters of the alphabet, he would be going, how about an A? How about a B? How about, so when you say it in Ubonics, how about a B? How about a B? How about a C? I mean, and you have to literally, and I know that sounds weird, you have to figure the kids out. If they're speaking street talk or Ubonics, they're probably smarter than you think they are, but you got to figure out their language. Now, you can't always change them to speak correct English. So you got to get on their level and you can say, like I said to the little boy, I said, okay, I get it. You get your letters, so stop saying how about a, just say A, just say B. Just say C. So there's a lot of problems that people do not understand how they're speaking. Now, I'm not saying we should change our ACTs or any of that to get to that, but you need to figure out how the kids even coming in to teach that. You can't understand math if you can't even understand their speech. And that's a big problem.
Yeah, we already know it's difficult enough to educate kids at this time of life, especially in 2023. And then you see somebody like LeBron who was trying, and I'm not a big LeBron fan when it comes to stances that he has taken and not stood up for people who were being bullied. And, he just kind of decided he would judge whether he spoke out if somebody was white or black. The fact that he was trying to help out kids in that area, I mean, should that school be shut down?
You would think so, because if they're not learning, it should be shut down. But how do you shut down a private school?
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Well, he has to have some sort of accreditation, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
So you start right there, I would think.
Yeah. I mean,
and the fact that the Akron Beacon Journal heard stories clearly, which is why they went and did the report to request that information just to see how things were going.
Yes.
And not to pile on LeBron, this news comes out, but that study was going on in the midst of his son. We were talking about earlier, dealing with the problem that he had from a health standpoint collapsing. Pam says we need to overhaul education and have separate schools for kids that are struggling and give them skills they can conquer. It makes me think about that too. And not that you want to avoid a problem, but we had Mike England on here. He's had a school in the St. Louis area called St. Mary's that have switched not all, but they have a massive program partnering with, it was 12 or 17 local trades.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And they're teaching the kids in school now. So, and when they graduate, they go right to a well-paying job, most of those $70,000, $80,000 or more with no debt, and also opportunities to learn how to own those businesses at someday too, with high ceilings. So it is good to see that. And they bring a lot of their kids in from city schools, from situations that were not silver spoon in your mouth situations. So there's opportunities. You just have to reimagine some of those ways of doing it, but back it with money, back it with a solid plan, which they've done with current operating businesses that are thriving, that need people.
Well, and that at a school like that gets it, like St. Mary's gets it. And so they're figuring out where the kids are and how to get to them. And I'm seeing people on the chat line like Carrie and Pam and a bunch of other people. They're absolutely right. When we were younger, if a child had a disability or a special need, they were zoned in on and they were taken to a different class. over the years with me teaching, I watched that those kids were integrated into the classroom. And that sounds great in theory because as a parent, you want your child to be treated like everyone else. The problem is if your child has a lot of special needs or even attention deficit, or if they don't understand math, they were separated back then. And so we're seeing a big problem because it dumbs down the entire classroom. And if you've got 4 kids that do not get it, and those kids are going to disrupt the class because that's just human nature. When you don't get something, you start to act up. And so we're seeing a whole couple decades worth of just a mess that the school districts are sending out because we're afraid to hurt their feelings. We're afraid to pull them out. We're afraid to say anything. And so you're ending up with a huge crisis in the school systems too. And a lot of the math these days is not just math. They put it to Common Core and they're making them these long sentences. And if kids are already having a problem to read, now they can't read and do math. Yeah. It's a big crisis.
Well, we used to be a one size fits all for school, and it was working. We did for several years. Mm-hmm. But things changed over the decades.
They sure did.
For a variety of reasons. You could break it down. And of course, Common Core is awful, according to Melinda. I know some people who think Common Core works. Some good friends. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
And it's unnecessary. It's a lot of extra work to get to the answer instead of just, okay, what is 1 + 1 = whatever. It's now how many apples were sitting on the tree, and then how many oranges were sitting on the tree, and it goes on and on and on when the answer was always 2. But they have to go through this big long explanation, and kids are zoning out, especially these days with everything else they have to worry about.
Yeah, and we'll continue to follow those stories as they come through. The reason we were talking about it was because of LeBron James' school. Not one kid in the 5-year class has graduated, and they can't graduate their math class. And you're talking about 5 straight years. That's leaving kids behind. That's a problem. That needs to be stopped. That's for sure. This is cancelthiscancelthisshow.com. A couple of weeks ago, we pissed a lot of people off. We had a guy in here from Ukraine who loved Biden, thought Biden was the best thing ever, said that Biden's helping us poor Ukrainians out. And it's hard to figure the situation out. It's a gray area with Ukraine and Russia. I compared it to the Middle East. Who owns what territory? Putin's coming in, not sticking up for Putin by any means here. It is just interesting. We heard his perspective. Liz, you said we're going to have somebody else that brings another perspective on from Ukraine, correct?
Yes. I am getting a hold of him. He's not coming on this week coming up, but the next, more than likely. I'd like for him to come in studio just like the other one did.
Did he hear our previous guest?
No, but I sent it to him. He hadn't heard it. And he feels like, just like America, there's a divided political system and there's 2 extreme points of view. And he thinks that half of what he said was a lie.
Intentional?
He thought, well, he said it depends. He actually said, if you looked at his body language, it almost looked like he was being defiant to jar us. So maybe he was lying, but whatever it was, he was defiant and wrong.
Okay. Well, it made me think about this because check out the video that we have for you right now. We have talked about media staging events, staging video. And of course, the one I'll never forget is when the war in Ukraine broke out, seeing a guy in a body bag lift up, adjust himself, lay back down and put the body bag over his head as a reporter was doing a live shot. And I was like, okay, I will take with a grain of salt anything and everything I hear from Ukraine from this point forward because of what I just saw.
Yes.
Well, check out a recent news clip of what was happening. At the end of this video, it'll break down. You'll see a woman carrying pieces of concrete very easily. So I was like, oh, that must be a styrofoam piece of concrete or something from a live shot. Check us out. It'll be at the end. Let us know what you think here.
Watch this. This lady carrying concrete with one arm. Sky News.
Missile and drone bombardments, explosions in the very city center of Odessa. We saw the destruction of a very old Orthodox church yesterday. But a lot of these missiles are targeting grain silos and infrastructure meant for the export of grains from Ukraine.
There we go.
Are supposed to be going to African countries, for example, Asian countries. Ukraine is unable right now to export a lot of what it's growing, and it's having a major impact not only in the local economy, but the...
Here we go. Here she is.
And,
look at this.
Certainly exacerbating...
that's polystyrene. Pull the other leg.
Can you look at that. Look at this again. This was on Sky News.
Video. That's polystyrene.
Yeah, not gonna work right
Come
there.
on.
Joe,
Oh.
continue to play that video. So many times we just look at things and we may not notice it. We may not even notice what they're doing. Yet a woman with one arm with was that four slabs of concrete?
Oh.
Our church has been just destroyed, and this is propaganda. Jessica, what you have, and we'll show you the video again. I don't even know if there's a way to fast forward it. If there was, Joe would be able to find it.
Instagram.
At the end of the video, she's holding, and I'll explain it for you. This from Sky News. She's holding slabs of concrete with one arm as she's cleaning up in quotes.
Yes.
Their church just being destroyed by Russian troops. I get propaganda.
Here it is.
Here it is. Right here. This is what we were trying to explain what was going on.
They're picking it up like you would your My Pillow.
Yeah, look at that. She's holding it like with one arm.
Yes.
And the woman in front of her was doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so bizarre that you have these two women in dresses carrying out slabs of concrete.
And it looks like 8-inch thick slices of concrete.
It looks like it would be like 4 big men would be picking that up.
Yeah, Paula says, well, the Soviet people are really strong. Yeah.
Right. That's, they got muscles.
Ukrainian woman. I mean, the whole thing, Lady Hawks, here come the jokes. Of course they do. From our live podcast. Just be careful. The message here of what you see, what you intake, how national media will try to trick you, try to make you believe something. We've shown the video before. By the way, our guest on Friday, I think, will confirm there are 2 Joe Bidens.
Yes.
We've talked about, I do. There was at least 2 Donald Trumps.
I believe that there's a body double of almost everyone in politics.
That stuff could happen. Of course, Pam says, I wish I could have seen it blown up. Wonder if that ever happens. Dawn says, I think I bought rocks like that at Spencer's in the 80s.
Yeah. That's right. I agree, Dawn. That is so funny. Well, and that is just so infuriating. We're laughing about it, but that's literally our news media lies all the time. And that's why the gentleman that was here from Ukraine, even if he was telling the truth, or his truth, I'm not sure I believed half of what he said either. So, yeah.
Yeah. Aaron says spirit Halloween decoration.
For sure.
It is.
Yeah.
The styrofoam, and you paint it.
Correct.
And then
it looks exactly like
it. Looks just like it. Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, I would like to ask our guest if what his thoughts would have been on that.
Yeah, we should have had that
he would have
video.
literally looked us in the eyes and said, yes, our women are tougher than you Americans.
He would have. He would have,
They can carry
for sure.
4 slabs of concrete in one arm and be fine and just walk through in their dresses and their heels. Everything is fine.
Yes, as he was staring you down, Vic.
Jeannie said she's an AI. Maybe.
Could be.
When you hate for it to be a lookalike for Kamala. Well, she did try to use a Kamala. A second Kamala. Darren says must have been the best arm day. You guys are funny. Yeah, no kidding. Arm and forearm. I will bring this through. She probably had an impressive mustache as well. Yeah, I get it. I don't even think a guy, I promise you.
A guy couldn't have
picked up 4 slabs of concrete with one arm and walk through as if everything is fine. Yet we continue to give hundreds of millions of dollars to Ukraine with no end in sight. Thank you, Joe Biden and administration. What's that, Joe Pro?
So we got to pay for those actors.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. The actors are very expensive.
Well, I mean, Zelensky was an actor-comedian before he stepped into the role that he has.
Yes.
He probably has those tights and high heels in his closet somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
saving him for a rainy day. He knows all about acting and bringing forth stuff that shouldn't be happening. Anyway, we just thought it was kind of funny to bring that to you. This is cancelthisshow.com. I'm Vic Faust with Lizzie Sparks and Projo. It is infuriating when you see things on TV that shouldn't happen. And then you see announcers who put other people in bad situations. Presidential Republican candidate Vivek Ramaswamy was on with CNN. You would almost have to think that these things are staged in advance, because I can't believe how mean and nasty these anchors are.
They are mean.
I sent you that, Joe. I don't know if you saw it or not, buddy. Just watch this. This is bullshit. And he doesn't answer the questions. Let him answer the questions and stop getting pissed at people because they're sticking up for a certain candidate. Check out this exchange.
The standard I use as our next president is what moves our country forward. What is the right thing for the United States of America?
Right, and would having a president like this move it forward?
The right answer is to move on, and I would pardon him. I intend to be our next president, and yes, I do believe I will move us forward, and yes, I think one of the right ways to do that is to pardon the former president of the United States from what is clearly a politicized prosecution. And I'll share a view with you, Casey. This is not specific to Trump. This is part of my broader view on the justice system in our country. I think that our general norm in our Justice Department is you should not convict somebody of a process crime when there was no actual underlying crime. I think that's a major problem.
So you think destroying evidence is a process crime?
I think it is, by definition, a process crime. Nobody left, right, any legal scholar will agree with me on that statement. That is, by definition, a process crime. A crime that would not have existed but for the existence of an investigation.
Yeah, and by the way, Donald Trump has maintained he never told anybody to destroy video footage.
Right, but they say whatever they want to, and then people just believe that it's true. And she was just staring at him like she was mad from the beginning, like she wasn't going to believe a word he said. And they are. You're right. They're rude. They're so rude.
Yeah, like I always say, you can't make up all the stuff that continues to go on. Ginny says, not a good reporter. Pam, smart guy. Yeah, Vivek is a very, very smart guy. Ginny says, they all do this shit. I'd tell them to F off and walk out. No doubt about it.
Yeah,
of course,
Jeannie.
Pam talked about Biden having a body double. We will get into that on Friday. There is no doubt that he does. And one of the best parts when you look at pictures is to look at ears.
For sure.
We've shown those pictures on this show in the past.
Yeah, a couple times.
And when you look at ears, when it's what I would refer to as a normal ear, it's not attached.
Right, it's a little dangly.
The body double, if you go look at pictures, in our humble opinion, the lobe is attached to the face, to the skin, almost as if it's a mask. I'm not saying it's a mask. I'm not saying it's a Mission Impossible mask.
Right.
I think those go all the way back to maybe Mission Impossible 4. I don't know.
And I thought
We're
the
at
head
7
shape
now.
was even totally different, even down to the eyebrow area.
Yeah, there you go. Pam says yes, and Donna says yes. The ears are like fingerprints, but we'll definitely ask J.R. Moore about that on Friday and let him try to do what he can do as well. Lisa, interesting comment about the Vivek video that we were just showing you, the campaign to get Vivek on the left or some other R candidate is trying to expose him as a shill for Soros. What?
I've been hearing that. I only heard that over the weekend, that some people on the right, even right and left, are saying that Soros is funding him. If you go look at his campaign report,
I haven't seen
and
that.
you look at that.
I'll look that up.
Yes,
I'd
that
be
his campaign
shocked.
report that he's a mule for Soros. That's what some people are saying. I have not looked that up yet, but we need to do that. I just heard that.
If he's a mule for Soros, he's the best actor I've ever seen.
Right. I'm not saying that
I've been watching him for about 6 months, and he's damn good.
Well,
I mean,
yes,
heartfelt.
Well, there you go. And maybe he hasn't had anything to do with Soros, but that's why they think he's a real contender. So they want to ruin him before he ever gets started.
Really? Fascinating, because I would never, there's no way in hell, unless people are trying to eliminate him right out of the gate.
Right.
From being a possible VP pick. And you see even by his response, I mean, I think he would love to be a VP pick. Would love.
I think so. I think he's campaigning to be the VP. I actually do. And I think most everybody there, except for maybe Chris Christie and Nikki Haley, I think the rest of them
we need to reach out to Vivek. It'd be great to get him on the show. Ask him ourselves about Soros, because I very seriously doubt any of the national media will be asking him
that question.
First of all, the Democrats wouldn't do it because he's a Republican.
Right.
And they've got specific marching orders from Soros or Soros types.
Correct.
And Republicans aren't going to do it because it would make them look as if they weren't being, normal to him or polite to him.
Right. Exactly.
But Jay reminds us, since that topic came up from the standpoint, it's going to be him or it's going to be Tim Scott as the vice presidential pick to run with Donald Trump when he goes after the 2024 election. And of course, we showed you his speech from the weekend where he was very presidential again, energy, all America, the red, white, and blue. It's just, or RFK Jr. There you go. Pam Gifford bringing in RFK.
Yep.
But they're friends. It is interesting because
be great. They would be a great combo if it could happen.
Over the weekend, you continue to have again RFK going after Biden, talking about the corruption that's in the White House, in the family, trying to get the witness, Devin Archer, to go to prison or at least set up his prison dates before he starts talking to Congress about the Biden crime syndicate. And who is there? It's RFK going after the Biden family and saying that he's respectful of Donald Trump. Respects Donald Trump, thinks that, and has said that. So that's there. He can't go back from that. That's on tape.
Correct.
But going after Biden and talking about how that whole administration is corrupt.
Yes. And a lot of his family is very upset with him too. So you just wonder, what is he trying to do? I think he thinks he can't get nominated.
He's trying to be honest.
Yeah. Well, isn't that refreshing?
What else? He doesn't have it. What is there in a game for RFK at this point in time?
Right. Because they'll never let him be the candidate. They'll never let him. So maybe he is being honest.
He came out against C-19. He's come out against all of that. My God.
Chris, there's a lot more people finding out or seeing the corruption, and they're crossing the aisle.
Yes. And you know what? If people started to truly cross the aisle, I think that would save America. I really believe that. I think that people...
I think that's what's going to take too.
I agree. We'll just look at when we had Trisha on last week. They, here in Missouri, they crossed the aisle to help the water. If we do not cross the aisle, okay, and some of Republicans are going to be furious with me. However, if we do not learn to cross this aisle, we are done, because they want to divide us. And this is a very unpopular thing for me to say as somebody as conservative as I am, is if we do not make some friends with some Democrats, we are done. Because of, as the saying is, united we stand, divided we fall. And that means religion, politics, everyday people. If you're a masker, if you're not a masker, if you're a jabber, if you're not, if you're a Republican, a Democrat, a liberal, a conservative, we've got to cross the aisle to save our country. Got to. It's got to happen.
More.
With that, you've also got the problem that the Biden administration's in there. And if you try to go against anything, as we have seen, you're going to suffer.
Yes.
But you've got something else that's coming down now, and be watchful, be ready for this. You've also got Biden advisors right now. They're wanting him to sign. It's the FISA, F-I-S-A section 702 renewal. Look it up. It's to sound the alarm right now on the history of violations. It's a very controversial program. Now it's set to expire in December. So it's interesting because what it does, and if you haven't been aware, it allows warrantless surveillance of non-American citizens outside of the U.S., but it also raised an alarming history of the FBI with search violations, and that also included improper queries on Americans. That's right. You and I as Americans as a significant obstacle, and your trust is lost. And it also had congressional approval. Now it's set to expire in December. Now you have advisors telling Biden he needs to sign it again for all of this detail to go through.
Wow.
Now you're talking about 13 reforms primarily geared toward resolving the FBI's history of abuse, which it attributed to the agency's pervasive lack of understanding regarding their standards, and a lack of urgency to comply. But the problem that you have now with this going through or continuing through, you're talking about the groups who've been studying, finding out that 60% of the articles in the president's daily intelligence brief have stemmed from this. They're getting all this information from this warrantless availability to spy. Now, we talked about spying with phones last week and computers. The group also told Fox that the material is said to inform every substantial national security decision by the U.S. government. I mean, if that doesn't scare you on everything that's going on, I don't know what would. Now, listen to this. They said the analysis warns quite starkly that the failure to reauthorize Section 702 would be one of the worst intelligence failures of our time. That's what one U.S. official said, except this intelligence failure would be a known goal. We'd basically be shooting ourselves in the face and handing a huge victory to China, Russia, and terrorists and fentanyl smugglers. So there's certain interests that people on both sides have when it comes to the whole situation. They said that the FBI searches of U.S. persons within the database made up between 1/4 to 1/3 of its overall queries. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
The assessment stated that the high volume of it was going there. The intelligence community has defended the query and review of this lawfully collected data to rapidly determine whether Americans are a potential victim or partner in nefarious foreign activity. So you got the situation of trying to get information of people outside this country, but also with people inside this country. And we're all afraid of what's being gathered on us, what we're saying, what has happened. How can we possibly continue to move on and really have freedom without worrying that somebody's going to shut us down, somebody's going to take you off something, and of course, cause you a lot of headaches.
Lots of headaches.
Peg says, keep in mind, this crap will continue as long as we allow it.
Boom. She is exactly right.
Those things happen. Troy says, by the way, wearing a mask makes you look like an uneducated liberal Biden supporter. Going back to our mask comments from earlier.
Well, let me clarify that, because we have a lot of people, and this is exactly what I was saying. We have a lot of people on our chat line right now arguing about whether to wear a mask or not wear a mask. At least
really?
They are. But here's the deal. They're doing exactly what I just said. We have some great conservatives and some Democrats that lean to the right, the good Americans fighting over a piece of cloth. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't. My only thing is, it's, prior to 2020, I never saw them other than the hospitals. So I do think something happened. So it was contrived, my opinion. But I don't hate people who do. I'm just choosing not to. But there you go. Right here on the show, we've got our government dividing our people over a piece of cloth. That's so dumb. That's where I'm going to say, you've got to look at the bigger picture, guys, and stop being mad at each other. Black, white, religion, jab, not jab, mask, not mask, Republican, Democrat, whatever. It is completely designed to get us fighting, because the only way they got us is when we fight. Let's disagree. I think we should disagree, and we can disagree loudly, but don't let it divide us. Don't do it.
I'll never make fun of anybody wearing a mask, because most people that are wearing those masks are the ones that are scared with autoimmune diseases.
Correct. That is correct.
I've seen it. But the division between our country and
everything.
There's so many things.
We're divided on everything.
There was a story I saw over the weekend where a Canadian principal decided to unalive themselves.
Right.
After this person was bullied for his whiteness in a CRT training investigation. Quote, you in your whiteness think that you can tell me what's really going on for, quote, black people. That's what the equity trainer allegedly said to this person before they went and did what they did. This happened in Toronto. They announced that they're launching investigations into the education board now because of this training, because of what this former principal did after going through this training. And his name is Richard Blitz. It's Biltstow. He was a 60-year-old former principal. he sued the district Toronto School Board for emotional distress after he attended a training where he was accused of being a racist. We talk about division.
Yeah.
This is it again when people start telling you that. Well, they dealt with the situation. He said, quote, how they started it was, we are here to talk about anti-Black racism, but you and your, quote, whiteness think that you can tell me what's really going on for Black people.
That is
the trainer. The last name was Ojo Thompson. That's what she said, according to a lawsuit that's been filed by the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism. So that woman who said it was not directly sued by this guy.
Right.
But the principal also alleged that he was called a white supremacist just for sharing his beliefs.
That is just so prevalent. I had a college professor in my master's degree who called me a racist. And I am the farthest thing from a racist. What I said to her to put her in her place is, I don't understand. And it was a multicultural class. And she told me I was, oppressing Black people because of what I didn't know. I said, you cannot oppress someone by what you don't know. Now, I might have biased because, of certain things of the way I was raised, but just because you have a bias doesn't make you a racist. We need to learn that. And she did the same thing, was calling the whole class, and the class was primarily Black people. And I purposely chose the class because I wanted to learn. And I said, just because you want to learn doesn't make you oppressive. And this was back in the 90s. They were doing this crap. And so, but years later, she messaged me and said that she was sorry that she saw that my school was about half and half mix. And she did apologize. And so people like that need to be called on the carpet. But people are afraid to do that. You do need to sue them. You do need to call them out, because just because you're white and you don't understand someone else's culture, it doesn't make you a racist. It absolutely doesn't. But look at German people. They may want, certain kind of food. Mexican people might like Mexican food. Look at Italians. They like to fly the Italian flag. But most Italians that I know have the American flag on top. We can be who we are and be proud of who we are without being a racist. And
it is.
We need to call them out.
It is something that, even though we haven't talked a lot about CRT in recent months, it's still there.
It is.
Training classes are still there. It is interesting to bring it to light when you have a principal that, does what he does to himself because of what this class did to him.
Yeah.
And then you can't be somebody that said, well, it should do something. I mean, because there are people who go, well, you need to accept it. You need to listen to this stuff. No, it's not even, it's not even right. Not even fair. Not even an apples to apples comparison.
Nope.
But I'm wondering, and it happened in Canada, it didn't happen in the United States. I'm just wondering what kind of media attention it will get, if any, around the country. Because I can tell you this, if the races were reversed, I would just love to talk with somebody of that particular race if they did that to themselves after going through a class where somebody was telling them how bad they are.
Right. They wouldn't like it.
Or how they're hurting society. And then something happened to them. What would then happen if the roles were reversed when it came to the races? If you can kind of follow me on that.
Correct. They would be pissed. They wouldn't like it either.
100%. It just, and the reason I brought that up was the fact that you brought up the division that can occur between people. Chris G even says, hey, my friends, and this is interesting. I get
because Chris talks like with a really cool accent.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he does.
Oh, I didn't know that. Let me say for Chris that I have to get back up there. I love it.
Says, my friends love mocking my accent, but when they want something fixed or fresh fare from the woods and water, they call. And he's happy to oblige.
Okay. Sherry says, if we agree to disagree, nothing gets done. Okay. You're right. I get it. I've always been one of those people that said, let's talk. Talk's the start, but if you don't have action, then clearly talk is cheap. Sherry says, okay, gays get married. Now we are at child mutilation and MAPS. You must take a stand talking about it some point in some time, where if you agree to disagree, this side's going to do that, that side's going to do that. And then, eventually what happens? Mary wanted to remind everybody that real white privilege is all about what's happening with the Democratic Party and Hunter Biden.
Mm-hmm.
That's profound. That's a bumper sticker. That's a T-shirt. White privilege starts with Hunter Biden.
Isn't that the truth? Yes, that
your,
is white privilege for sure.
There is no better bumper sticker than that. We appreciate you guys jumping in. Of course, as always, part of the live podcast here at canceltheshow.com, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. Central, and all the time on our website, canceltheshow.com. Jessica reminds everybody, too, from the live chat line that CRT courses are being sold at universities for a cool $1 million.
Jessica,
it is interesting.
Right.
Well, in the St. Louis area, they one of the school districts, Francis Howell, was bringing in what was Doctor? I can't remember doctor's name. Dr. LeGarrette King, maybe, I can't remember. But anyway, they were paying him a nice sum.
Yes.
We were going to have him on the show to explain what CRT was, and then Francis Howell stopped it.
Yeah, they did. And that's because the parents.
Unfortunately, we tried.
Yeah.
And all credit to Doctor. He tried to come on. LeGarrette King, he tried to come on and talk with us. But after further review, I've been told I cannot come on to your show and talk about CRT. And then, of course, that's when the sirens start going off. Oh, really? Okay. Derek reminded everybody that Rockwood also, throughout the St. Louis metropolitan area, paid Dr. King as well to go there.
Yes.
And teach CRT. So we know what's going on. It's just, we'll see what happens from a Canadian standpoint as well. But anything else going on today before we end the show?
I just want to thank all the listeners. They were really alive and vivid on the chat today.
Okay.
Yeah. They were really great.
And we'll have some good news here coming up shortly regarding the expansion of what we have going on here at our studios. But it's not yet time though, right?
Yeah, we can't probably say it yet. But Renew Media owns Cancel This, which is really Vic and his partner. The reason I'm going to say that is it's really going to be exciting because we're starting to get, and we're getting a second show soon, and we're going to have whole shows. So Renew Media is going to have live all day eventually. So if any of you, we have a couple time slots left. So if any of you know someone that wants to do a podcast live, you can do a podcast not live too. It just won't be during the network's time. But if you want to do a podcast, you know someone else wants to do a podcast, it doesn't necessarily have to be political. Hey, we want somebody to be funny. Anybody funny out there?
Exactly.
Somebody can be funny. We need some life and laughter. So, but actually, in all seriousness, if you do, contact Vic or myself or Projo, and we've got great things coming. Literally, when you hear the best is yet to come, I'm not kidding.
Merchandise also on the way as well. Guys, we love you. We appreciate it. That does it for this cancelthisshow.com. The July 31st edition. Have an awesome day. We'll be back again tomorrow, and we will do it all over again. Grateful for your support. For Projo and Lizzie Sparks, I'm Vic Faust. Try to have a great Monday.